If you can help your clients feel clear, oriented, and open before they get on that first call, it's going to go great. And they'll get a ton of value both from their prep work and also from the call itself. But most coaches don't realize how important this is.
Yeah, it's all about setting up the client a right way before they show up. And I say a right way because there's lots of right ways, right? There's no one right way, but there are wrong ways, right? Just like baking a cake. There's so many different cakes you can bake. There's so many ways you can do it. You can also do it in a way that doesn't produce a cake, at least the one that's not one that's edible.
So because there's a lot of right ways, we've created a 2-video series on how Peter and I set clients up for that first call. In other words, what do we do before they come to their first official coaching session? And we've already created the video on how I do it. And this video features Peter's method for doing it, Peter, because it's very different than how I do it. It's another way to bake a cake, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Just another way to bake a cake.
Yeah.
I'm Peter.
I'm Meg.
And we've both been coaches for over 10 years. I have worked with everyone from billionaires to line cooks, artists, scientists, professors, and all kinds of entrepreneurs.
And I've worked with everyone from professors at Ivy League universities to the US Space Force to space companies out in LA to stay-at-home moms, a whole variety of clients. And so we're excited to share how we structure our sessions with you. All right, so you're on a discovery with a client and you've said that this is where the process starts.
Yeah.
Walk me through what happens.
So I like to do what I call the most important conversation in the world. And what my goal is in that conversation is to identify the most important, the most emotionally resonant thing in their life that they're committed to. And it's often distilled into a core value or like a theme for their year. And I distill that. And then we look at what gets in the way. And I'll check. I'll actually be like, does this feel like the most important, relevant thing to you in your life? Because if it isn't, then why are we talking about it, right? And that's one thing that I endeavor to do with my clients in general is like, I want us to have a series of the most important conversations they could have in their life.
So connect the dots for us. This happens in the discovery call. How is that setting the client up for their most important first coaching session?
So what that does first is it demonstrates the value of coaching, right? People are not used to talking about themselves and what's most important to them. And also it shows me a lot about what their values are, how open they are to coaching, like, is it a fit? Often there's pretty clear sense of like, okay, this is going well. There's connection there. And then at the end of that session, I'm actually invite them into another free call for an entire hour. And that does a few things. So it's getting them to say a yes, right? A yes to something else. And it also gives me a lot more time to get to know that client and to educate them.
And I'm assuming you only invite them into the next call if you feel like there is resonance.
Correct. Well, so for example, I had a client recently and we did our call and it wasn't quite connecting for me. And so at the end of the call, I said, I don't think that I'm going to be a perfect fit for you, but I know someone who I think might be. Her name is Megan Morrison.
That was me.
So I sent him over to you.
And we fell in client love. Yeah.
Yes, and he hired you right away.
He did.
So I will discern, like, is this person a fit? But if I like them and then they like me, then I will get them to I ask if they actually want to have another call. And in that call, I say, look, I'll talk about how I work as a coach. We'll go over all the details. We'll talk about money. And then if it's feeling good, we can start coaching.
I love that. So you get a yes. And I loved what you said around they practice saying yes to me, right? It's kind of training their brains that saying yes to you, they're going to get more value, which is true, as long as it's a good fit for the coaching relationship. So they come to the next call. What are you doing on that call that sets them up for a successful first session?
So I do a lot. I love those calls because it's such a fun way to prepare the client for the coaching relationship. So I almost always start by saying, what's your understanding of the difference between coaching and consulting or coaching and therapy? And we have a conversation about it. I'll give you a preview of some of the things I talk about, and we have a whole playlist coming out with all the kinds of conversations I have with a potential client for that. But so one of the things is that we'll talk about the difference between coaching, consulting, and therapy, and we'll really discuss it. And as they tell me what they think it is, I'll use that as an opportunity to add in and deepen their understanding of each of these pieces. I also will teach them, I have like a set of like 8 or 10 coaching distinctions that pretty much always just like give really cool insights to the clients and is preparing us for, again, I'm still tracking like, are they into this, right? And is preparing them to dive really deep into coaching, having a kind of an orientation to what we're doing.
Give us a preview of one of those distinctions.
So a couple of things that I talk about is, I'll talk about shadow work. You know, I'll say, some days you're going to come in and tell me about something you hate or someone you hate. And I'm going to ask you, what do you love about them? And here's what I mean by that. So I'll actually talk about shadow work and about the challenging questions that I'll ask them. I'll talk about parts work. I'll talk about simple distinctions around accountability, right, that get people prepared. I also tell them what to expect from me, and I tell them what I expect from them. So a couple of things that I like to do is I like to kind of counter. So I'm like, look, coaching is time consuming, it's expensive, and it's hard work. Still want to sign up? And it's amazing how people feel the honesty in that. And it's really settling for people. So I tell people, look, the clients who get results are the ones who work really, really hard. Coaching isn't magic. It's not like I show up and I'm a star and your life is changed. It's about me supporting you in changing your life. And that means that I expect you to set aside 3 to 4 hours a week to work on the things that we discuss in our coaching sessions. Is that something you're willing to do? Right?
I can really understand how this would set up the first coaching session for success, because they come to that session, they're like, all right, we're going to work, right? Probably going to get some tough questions, might get some questions I don't know how to answer. I'm going to have to give this my all and bring my best to it. Like, it's setting the tone for the whole relationship.
And I'll also tell them, like, I might ask you to do strange things. Like, I love the phone for this, because I have my clients run around. They're like, I just feel like I need to start moving. I'm like, great, start moving. Or I want to step into more of like my regal self. Okay, we're going to your closet. Like, I get people going and moving, and I prepare them for that. In this session, we have conversations, and I'm also gauging, what are they open to? What are they not open to? Okay, the idea of like running to your closet and dressing in your robe to get into your queenly essence is not exciting for you. Cool, I'm not going to do that kind of thing as much. But there's this real gauging that happens as we talk about these distinctions that prepares me to understand like where their edges are, what makes them nervous, and what techniques they seem really open to. And it also, and the whole time, I'm not just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm like, here's one of the things I'm going to do, or I might do. What comes up for you hearing that? What's interesting? What are you seeing about that? And so we're building a relationship as we talk about things that just sets a foundation for fun, for rapport, and for in coaching, as much as we try and avoid jargon, there's still jargon that happens. And I head that off at the pass by just saying, here are the things that I do. Here's what they mean. And just take that time to invest so that we're on that same page.
Great. And so at the end of that call, you then give your pricing, how it works, whatever, and then they sign up at the end of call 2.
Correct.
Now, a lot of coaches after that would send over a questionnaire or some recommended reading. You don't do that. Say why.
I don't do that. I don't like to have them go and write things out or read things, because I find that a lot of people they don't put in the time, right? Or like with some long welcome packet, people don't read that. I wouldn't read it. That's part of the thing that I walk people through, as I take a whole hour to not only make sure that we're on the same page, they know my cancellation policy, they know my price, they're clear about everything. And then we're ready to go. Like, I don't have them filling out or reading a bunch of things, because I'm just like a relationship person. Yeah.
Love that. So this is just one example of how to get your clients ready for that first session. Because remember, the success of that first session really hinges on how well prepared they are. And that is in your control, right? You can really help them get value out of that first session.
And Meg, I just love how we get to learn so much from each other through the years.
Me too. I love that we do things differently and both ways work.
Yeah.
If you are watching this video because you have a client, amazing, congratulations. And if you're looking for more clients, we have an amazing 3-day challenge that you can access. The first day is free, and you can find that on our website, which we will link below.